Let's talk about psychosis and psychedelics. You see, the last few weeks I've been inside of a situation that I have never ever encountered before, and it has brought up some very interesting insights into how these things work. Because before I saw this, I was very much about the whole medicine is capable of saving mankind, and I still believe that. And I think that there are many ways to see this and navigate this problem that is not really a openly understood concept. If that makes sense. I think that the modern or the health professionals today, many of them have no fucking clue as to what they're doing. And I want to give you a little context behind that because what I've seen in psychedelic experiences is that you feel differently, right? You see the world differently. And some people might say that that's just because of the psychedelic experience, that it is interacting with your brain and your nervous system and your consciousness, and then that everything is just a has hallucination or just a altered mind state. Sure, but one cannot argue with the fact that this medicine holds insane potential in terms of healing, in terms of accepting oneself, in terms of seeing the world differently because of a new awareness and a new understanding of love and connection and all these other things. So I want to talk to you a little bit about a thing that I observed. This experience was about healing, and there are many ways to do a psychedelic drug. Some people will take it recreationally, some people will take it just for a party, some people will take it to escape their current reality. There are many, 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 many ways of using this medicine, and I guess that when you use it for your reason, you're doing that within the understanding you have of the compound, of the psychedelic. So if you're only using it for recreational use, maybe you don't know a lot about how to use it for personal development or within healing or whatever. Meaning that those sets and settings will not really be a thing on your radar. You won't really consider that because why should you? You don't know what you don't know. This particular setting was set up for healing and for expanding consciousness and getting to know oneself more. What we saw was that everyone had slightly the same experience. Um, One person went into a state where he felt like he was ostracized or excluded from the group. He felt like he wasn't seen, or he usually felt like he wasn't seen, and this the side of him came out during the experience where he kind of voiced that, and he openly said that, well, I feel like I'm not part of the group, right? And then we had to kind of bring him in and show him that you're full of bullshit right now. This is what is happening, and you see that you are in this group, and we love you, and we want to be with there for you. Everything is as it should be. So we got him back, and it was really interesting to see how that worked. But the other person was in the moment. You see, there was also the fact that the other person who felt excluded, he tried to analyze what he was feeling. It was like, now I get it. Now I understand. I see what it is all about now. And it is about this and this and this and this and this. And that happened quite often. While others in the experience said that don't try to be something. Just be it. Be there. Just explore and enjoy the experience as it is happening right now. Don't try to say how it is because you're you're trying to limit whatever you're feeling right now, it seems. And he was, right? Because that in itself created some thoughts about him being excluded. But the other person, he felt it. He was in it. And it was a powerful emotional experience for him, and we talked, and I just saw how he was navigating his own mind. didn't really think much about it because it seemed very much like a standard experience. The day after, everything was calm, and the everything was cooperation and reflection, and just making sure that everything was tidy and nice for people coming up after us. And we talked, every one of us, and pretty much everyone agreed that this was one of the most impactful ceremonies that had been done. Like, in terms of how many, or in terms of our previous experiences leading up to it. So I was really happy about what they got from it. And a few days after, it seems like one of them was still in the experience almost. Because you can abuse plant medicine. If you don't respect it, if you don't allow your brain to reset, to find your balance again, you will prolong the experience. And you won't allow the brain to really find back to its default status quo, or be able to integrate the lessons that you learned from the experience. And if you do that over the span of a week, then I imagine that your brain is going to be fucking tired. And when that happens, I guess the veil between the realities is going to be very thin, and it's going to be hard to differentiate what is reality and what is a psychedelic experience. Because when you feel that unity, you also understand, many understand, that they are everything, and they are, let's say, God. And they feel very much like very different compared to what they did before, and they will see the world and the universe differently because now they understand that they are the universe, right? If you don't have any knowledge to put onto that understanding, if you don't have any intellectual knowledge about what you are going through, if you have never heard of Christ consciousness, or if you've never heard of how your brain acts, or if you never heard of how you can change your brain and how energies work and all those things, and you're only left to try to make sense of it from what you know, without ever reading a book or ever reading anything that will expand your knowledge within that area, I think it can be very overwhelming. And he acted on it. Now, he had some previous experiences with psychosis. He had been in psychosis before. And it was also because of abuse and using drugs to escape something or to find your balance, using that much more as a tool than to see that you are the tool, and using these other aids to just be a better tool. You can't put all your faith in plant medicine and basically use that as a means to be what you are supposed to be. You have to be yourself from within, without the drugs, without anything. And then use those plant medicine or compounds as a way to just expand or reflect, or become more centered in yourself sometimes. Like, not all the time. So what happened is that he felt like he was God, and he needed to proclaim the message. And the way he did that, it became very biblical. Very biblical. He was God. He was Jesus, and in his mind. So, for reasons that I don't understand, he took a carpet, a blanket, and he refitted the blanket to be a toga. And so he put this on. He had a belt for his things that worked at like a pocket of sorts. And then he went out to spread the word. And he had a lot of things that he had to do because he had seen this from the universe. A lot of visual imagery in his mind, and things that he saw had meaning, and things that he had to interpret. And he got very connected to cats, and the mystical powers of cats, and how he also fundamentally was a cat that was basically connecting to all the animals around him. Lots of things happen. And I have also experienced how animals react differently around a psychedelic experience because you are more on a level where you can communicate energetically. Not even that. I was about to say telepathically, but energetically. So they feel calm because they can feel your love and they can feel that you are not of any danger to them, and then they will just seek you out more or less. At least that's what I've seen so far. But when you go into that state and you never land, and the state becomes overwhelming and your brain is tired and you have a lack of knowledge and understanding about these subjects or these compounds and this understanding of what this really is, you can go into a loop. So what happened is that other people around him started to react, and I was able to communicate to him. I was able to talk with him in a way that nobody was really doing. I saw his points because I had felt them, and because of that, I was able to see things slightly differently than the people that saw him, because his neighbor and people around him started to call the cops. I was tasked to get him to the hospital. I drove him in, and in there, because he is licensed, like he has been given medicinal cannabis. So he smoked before he got into the doctor's office, and in there, the doctor said that it smells like cannabis, and I said, yeah, he has medicinal cannabis, so he had a joint before he got in here. And the doctor gets up, goes over to the window, cracks it open, and stands like sniffing out of the window because my friend smelled like cannabis. And he said that he can't risk getting high. And that just told me that this guy has no fucking idea how this works. Like, you can't. Seriously? Are you that afraid of the smell of a medicine that you clearly know nothing about? And then he continued, why are you dressed like this? You understand that this is not normal, right? You understand that you have to be locked up right now. Things that was really lightning strikes from a clear sky. I was like, are you professional? Do you really understand what you're doing? So we talked. I agree. I also agreed that he had to be committed simply because he needed to have a break from the plant medicine. He needed to be unable to smoke all the time. Because when he had free reins, he was just prolonging the experience. And he had to have a hard stop. And if you don't have people around you at all times that can make sure that you don't, committing yourself is probably the best way to do it, because even though they have a horrendous way of helping people in there, just locking them up and putting them on these medications and benzodiazepams and all that stuff, they are secluded. They are isolated from the medicine, right? So it was a good thing. He needed that break. We talked to each other during that stay, and he said that he felt a lot better and he was ready to get out, and he was never going to stop cannabis. And I said, I'm not expecting you to stop cannabis. I'm just saying that you shouldn't rely as much as you are on the cannabis. So he got out, and then a few days later, the cops were called again, and he was committed again. He was there for another week, I think, and then he got out, and then 2 days later, cops were called again, and he was then forcefully committed in a straitjacket. So then I was like, holy fucking shit. He is just trying to be authentic and be himself. Because the people around him cannot seem to understand that, they act in fear and try to have him committed. Now, granted, he did do some stupid decisions when he was outside. He did take cocaine. He tried LSD at the same time. A lot of things happened which just launched a new drug-induced psychosis, and that is on him. He needs to learn that these things happen when he does that, because his brain is at a point where he needs to really heal it through absence of the medicine because of overuse. But still, it kind of frustrates me that people have such little understanding and knowledge about this. They're not able to communicate with him. They don't really want to communicate with him. And when people in this state come out into the general public, people are scared because they have no idea what they expect. Which means that I think people who are undergoing a psychotic or a psychosis, they need more understanding of whatever it is that triggered the psychosis. I'm saying this specifically in this case, and I'm also learning as I'm going because this is a completely new thing for me. But with all the things that I've read, all the things that I've seen, all the things that I've learned from other people in this, and what he has said, the fact that he does not read, for instance, he does not, and he chooses not to because he's under the impression that he can just look at a book and then he will understand the concepts within it. If you have more understanding of yourself, I think it's a lot easier to actually navigate these things. And then over time, gradually try to heal whatever damage the plant medicine has done because of neuroplasticity and neurogenesis, which are two things that he had no idea about. And most people don't. But I'm still learning. So I'm still trying to just make sense of this as I go. If other people had more understanding of the psychedelic compounds, if they knew what psilocybin did, if they knew what psilocybin was, if they knew what cannabis was able to do, I think that everything would be very much different, because right now it is a state of ignorance and arrogance, and people have no idea what they're talking about. They're simply just voicing their opinion upon the propaganda they were served from other people who don't like it as well. And I've tried to really paint a picture and make my point in this by going up to health professionals and talk to them about cannabis. And then seeing that most people that I've talked to so far is just strictly against it. They hate plant medicine. And these are people like apothecaries or doctors or whatever have you. And I ask, why do you hate it? Well, because of what I've seen when I was 15, or because of what other people says, or because of what I've read. And then I ask, do you know that you can actually change your entire life in terms of personal development and emotional stability with these things if it is used respectfully and used in a way where you are basically using it for intentions, for healing? Because alcohol is legal, and it is scientifically proven to hurt you more. But still, we don't see that people are able to drink themselves to death, yet there hasn't been no case of people taking too much psilocybin or cannabis and doing an overdose. Yes, your actions during these experiences can probably hurt you, but so can alcohol and every other drug that is out there, especially if it's synthetic and created in a lab. So I think that the awareness level, the understanding of these things, is so severely lacking, in addition to not having any fucking solution in terms of what the government can do in helping these people, and any government programs or other programs in general that is meant to raise the awareness and increase the understanding of these things, teaching people instead of just condemning it altogether. Because that is more or less the problem in the world, right? We tend to focus on one side of the coin, one side of the topic. And if we disagree, we will only focus on the negative thing instead of trying to learn as much as we can of both pros and cons to make up an educative guess, an educative decision as to why we should use it or not. Because I am under the 100%. I'm convinced that many, 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 many fucking people would have huge health benefits from psychedelic compounds like mushrooms and other natural plant medicine. And if a lot of people had that effect, a lot of people would then start to see the world in that way, starting to act differently and starting to raise other people up. And then you have the whole tide raises all boats. Because when people are out there to actively help, and the more people doing that, it just makes common sense that over time, more people will have the help they need compared to now where people are scared of it because of what we've been sharing about it. You know, I think that a psychosis is very much like a psychedelic experience. And I think that as long as you have the support you need and time and understanding the concepts and be willing to take the consequences of not using plant medicine or other medicine for a long time to really get a break, I think that most brains can be healed. I am not saying everyone, of course, because I think some brains are also just predisposed to have a negative effect on these medicine. But that does not mean everyone. And because of this, more people should look at this with an open mind instead of fear. Because I run this group, and I've said that so many times now, but it is a huge group within plant medicine. And we had a person who asked, what is the chances of inducing a psychotic or a psychosis from the mushrooms? And at what dose? And then it's like, if you have not had any psychosis before, then your question is based in something that you heard other people talk about. Because if you're not predisposed, and you probably won't know until you try a very small dose, then you're worrying about things that you really shouldn't be wasting time on. Because if you are not predisposed, odds are that this will set you free, more or less. If you do it responsibly and you read up on the topic and you actually understand it before you do it, and then do small doses to figure out where your tolerance level are, because there are no answers that's going to fit all of them, or all people in this topic. It's a huge fucking topic, but it's so healing. It has so much healing potential for the world that more people need to know what this is actually about. So if you have questions, then ask. And I'm saying that very specifically because I also have people coming up to me saying that they never commented, they never liked the video, they have never done anything to show themselves, but they have learned a lot from the videos. They just didn't dare to ask because then other people would see they ask. Well, so fucking what? It is your life. If you are associated with trying to expand your knowledge within and understanding within plant medicine, something that is naturally growing in your fucking backyard, why should people condemn you for it? We tend to think a lot about what other people think about us. And this is also personal experience because I was Bob Hayes when I started that group. And I was that for a long time. And when we reached 5,000 people, I unmasked myself and I said, this is me. This is me. My name is theseppola, and I am an advocate for plant medicine because it has changed and helped my life forever and all the people around me. I shouldn't be ashamed of saying that when there's objective facts to life being better for not just me, but all around me. A better father, more empathetic, more able to communicate, more clarity, more emotional stability, more mental health. Like, it changed everything about my existence. And here I am trying to limit that because I'm afraid of what other people would say. That's not how it should be, but that's how it is. But I'm just telling you, it's your life. And you should really live it how you see fit, because you are the one who have your thoughts, emotions, memories. You are the one who went through the trauma, the experiences of your life. So fuck the people who cannot say how it is to be in your shoes. You are supposed to live your life. So yeah, I guess that was a little rant, but that is what I think about psychosis and psychedelics. And I think that we need to really learn more about this so that we can help all the people that we need. Because even though he was in a psychosis, he got a lot of help from plant medicine. The support system behind it needs improving. in order to really ensure him to get the healing that he needed. I look forward to learn more about this. I hope you're having a fantastic day. Take care of your fucking family. I'll see you in the next one.